You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of OverAnalyzing, and we're continuing on with the multi-parter on Nagai Adaptations. Finishing up with Nagai's Big Three, we're ending it off with Cutie Honey. There will be three main adaptations I will be talking about, that being Cutie Honey 1973, and this one I know for a fact is 73, Cutie Honey Universe, and we'll also mention Cutie Honey because it is sort of an adaptation, although it's a completely different thing, and it's actually based off a live-action movie, which we'll also briefly mention. I'll also mention here at the beginning, my favorite Cutie Honey anime is New Cutie Honey, but we won't be talking about that in this one because it is a sequel. As with all of these, there will likely be spoilers ahead. In fact, I'm going to just say that there will be, so you have been warned. So, Cutie Honey 1973, which is the first one we'll talk about, adapts the story of the manga much more accurately than Devilman and Mazinger Z did. Surprisingly, it's actually not that different from the manga. That said, there are still a few major differences. For instance, Naoko Tsukiban is replaced with Naojiro Hayami, swapping her back to her original male gender from the Abashiri family, and tying Naojiro together to the Hayami family. All of the members of the Hayami family that are depicted in this anime are actually references to Abashiri family characters. It's also the case of the Hayami family in the manga, but Naojiro isn't in the manga. Instead, they have Naoko Tsukiban, whereas she's like a delinquent thug girl in that one. In this one, he's the leader of a delinquent gang of boys. So that's the difference. I will say I do prefer Naojiro over Naoko. Naojiro is much more similar in personality to his Abashiri family counterpart, and is much more of the fun, delinquent type, whereas Naoko, I feel like it's kind of one note. She's delinquent and she loves honey, and that's kind of it. Whereas Naojiro, I think, has a little bit more to him than that. In addition to that difference, the destruction of Saint Chapel from the manga, where the school is destroyed and everyone is killed, does not happen in this anime. Instead, we do still see Natsuko get killed, which is Honey's best friend. But other than her, we don't really see a lot of others get killed. Also, the nudity is removed pretty much entirely, whereas the manga has a good amount of nudity, and this one doesn't. There's obviously also episodes that aren't necessarily tied to the manga, because it is sort of a Monster of the Week sort of thing as well. To be fair, the manga was too. There are quite a few unique Panther Claw members in the 73 anime that were not in the manga. I will say, out of the 70s anime adaptations of Nagai that I've seen, Cutie Honey 1973 is actually my favorite. I think that the pacing and story and adaptation are all done considerably better in this than they were in Devilman 1972 and Mazinger Z 1972-74. And as I said, out of the three, I think this one is the closest to the manga. It is still relatively episodic. Again, it does stick to the Monster of the Week thing, but again, that is actually accurate to the adaptation. Alright, so yeah, that's Cutie Honey 1973. Now let's talk about Cutie Honey. Now, I have not seen Cutie Honey Flash, so we won't be discussing that here today, but we will talk about Cutie Honey, which is actually an adaptation of the live-action movie, and it retains a lot of the same changes the movie has, although not all of them. For instance, Honey is not a high school student in this version, and instead is a reporter. Natsuko is not a friend of hers from school, but is a cop who sort of develops that friendship as Cutie Honey goes on. Cutie Honey is only a 3-episode OVA. I guess I probably should have mentioned that the 73 version was 25 episodes, so making it actually the shortest of the three, because Devilman 1972 was 39 episodes, and Mazinger Z being 92. So Cutie Honey at 25 was the shortest of the three. But Cutie Honey, even shorter than that, because it's only 3 episodes. Now, Cutie Honey does have nudity in it, unlike the 73 anime. As far as changes from the movie, there are also some it did not retain. For instance, in the movie, Sister Jill is an old man in drag. It's really weird. I don't know why they did that in the movie, but that's only in the movie. In Cutie Honey, she's much more similar to how she is in the anime and manga. But as it's only 3 episodes, the story is much shorter, and with the changes involved, there are obviously quite a few differences in the plot. Obviously, Saint Chapel doesn't exist, and with that, we don't get a lot of those characters. Moving on to Cutie Honey Universe, which I personally think is the best adaptation of Cutie Honey, of the original story, that is. I think, like I said, New Cutie Honey is my favorite Cutie Honey-related anime, but Cutie Honey Universe does the best job adapting the original story. I know that this is a hot take, because for some reason, a lot of people like to hate on it, which is odd to me. I really don't know why. Like, they'll say it's too similar to the manga, but it's like, it's an adaptation? What did you expect? Did they expect it to be Cutie Honey again? Because a lot of people will compare Cutie Honey favorably to Cutie Honey Universe, and I think Cutie Honey Universe is way better than Cutie Honey. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Cutie Honey, but it's my least favorite of the three I'm mainly talking about today. But Cutie Honey Universe does a pretty good job depicting the anime. It actually has the destruction of Saint Chapel and has all the characters die. It does do some reset button-y shit at the end where most of them come back to life. I think Natsuko doesn't, but the rest of them do, which I think is kinda lame. I don't know why they decided to do that. Other than that one gripe I have with it, I think it's actually a really good adaptation. They flesh out the Panther Claw members, like Tarantula Panther is way more memorable in this version. Sister Jill has a lot more personality, and you actually get to see some of her perspective a little bit more. She's not just evil for the sake of evil. It's much more interesting that way. They do some weird stuff with Panther Zora that I'm not entirely against, but I'm a little confused, because they make Panther Zora sort of this deity that's like not actually like a physical being, is more like a goddess. But the weird thing is she kind of sides with Honey at the end, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. Also, this version has a good amount of nudity in it. It's much more on par with the manga than the 73 series, so it does have that in it as well. It does also contain that really awkward statue scene from the manga, which I think might have also been in the 73 series, now that I think about it, so there you go. I think it was in both those versions. It's a weird scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. This version has Naoko rather than Naojiro, so it has the manga one. It's more accurate to the manga in that respect. I'd say it's more accurate overall to the manga than the 73 version, but the changes do definitely make it stand out. One change that I think a lot of people overhype it, how big of a deal it is they changed the theme song, because, you know, Cutie Honey has always had a different version of the same theme song. I myself originally was a little disappointed in this, but in all honesty, I think the new theme song is better. All the old theme song does is just describe the different parts of Honey's body. That's like all it does. Whereas this one is a little bit different. This is more of an actual theme song to it. It's also catchier. Like, I just think the tune is better. Like, personally, I think it's an upgrade. Like, as much as I hate that it broke tradition, I think it's an upgrade. Hell, and you want to know a really hot take? I think this is better than Devilman Crybaby, and I will be doing a video comparing the two and talking about why Cutie Honey Universe is better than Devilman Crybaby. Overall, that's my favorite of the adaptations. I actually like all of these adaptations. I think they're all pretty good and all comparably good. Like I said, New Cutie Honey is my favorite, but we didn't really talk about it today because it's a sequel. There are other adaptations, like I said, like Cutie Honey Flash, which I have not seen. There's the manga remake, Cutie Honey A Go-Go, which I have not read. And there's a bunch of spin-offs and other sequels that I'm not as familiar with. But overall, I'd say that I like Cutie Honey quite a bit. Comparing it to the source material, I would say I prefer Cutie Honey over Mazinger Z, but it's certainly not as good as Devilman. Comparing strictly the 70s adaptations, I think the 73 Cutie Honey is the best of those versions, and comparing the Devilman Crybaby to Cutie Honey Universe, I think that's better. Also, Cutie Honey has two good adaptations that adapt the entire manga. That's not something I can say for Devilman. Now, Mazinger Z, I have not finished the 70s series, but Shin Mazinger does adapt mostly the whole manga, and what Chisu was telling me is it does show him fight Dr. Hell in that, and that I was just wrong, so there you go. I think he's right, actually, because I think they did stuff leading into Great Mazinger, but ended on a cliffhanger there. I know that's kind of backtracking to the previous episode, but it's a slight correction I thought I'd make here. But yeah, overall, all these adaptations were pretty good, and I liked them all quite a bit, so that's all I really have to say about the Cutie Honey adaptations. I think they're all worth watching, and they're all pretty fun. So there you go. Having not seen Flash, again, I apologize for that, but there's really no way to watch Flash in the US. I don't think anyone's ever done like a release of it in the US. Also, Flash is shoujo, so it's more like a magical girl thing, so I don't know that I'd like it as much. Because Cutie Honey is kind of magical girl, but like, Flash, from what I understand, really leans into that, but again, I haven't seen it, so I can't say for sure. Anyway, I'm rambling on a bit here at the end, so I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next time. That's it for the big three, but that is not it for the Go Nagai adaptation talks, so I'll see you next time. Toodles.
What a grand adventure this has been. God bless us, everyone.
God, yeah. As soon as I can walk again, I'm gonna kick that kid's ass.
Bucket. We've come this far.